So I'm just getting the propane situation figured out. I basically had it figured out, now I'm test running it. So I bought an RV propane tank setup that has the tray, which I've screwed to the recess that I put in the transom. And I just got the automatic switchover regulator that will, you can set it to one tank, and when the tank goes empty you can set it to the other. I had hoped to put it facing out on this side, but it's designed to go on the far side. I know that's the way it is on our travel trailer, and when you try to put it on this side, the hoses are jammed against here and they won't turn quick enough and they're not long enough, and it doesn't work on this side. So it's just like the travel trailer. It's pretty much impossible to see the indicator other than maybe with your phone sliding it in behind and snapping a picture. But other than that, you can slacken off the hold down clamp and see if one feels kind of light, and then you know it's time to make a change. But it all fits, just enough room to not be rattling against things. It's touching the forward wall, which is the interior of the back deck area. And so now, and yeah, this other hose here, it will run behind the tank, above, and then through a hole into the, and then down through, I've already have a hole from the deck area down into the bilge, and then there will be connection down kind of in this area where, but inside the boat, where it will connect to the copper tubing to run up to the fridge and stove. But that looks like it will all come together nice and tidy and tucked in as tight as it can be. So then I'm going to make a cover that goes on the outside of it to make it hidden and pretty, and I'm thinking probably our name will be, of our boat, will be across that cover, because it's a nice flat area that right in the middle. So yeah, so on to trying to figure out the shape and everything of the cover. That should be a bit of a process, but hey, we got time, so time to get at it. So I did a little more investigating, thinking, and I decided to try turning everything around, putting the regulator on the outside or rear of the setup instead of towards the front. And now obviously it's much more accessible to see and everything. I don't think it will be an issue for putting the tanks in and out without having to kind of take everything apart. The only downside to it is because the regulator just sticks out here just a little farther, that when I make my cover for all this, it overall is going to end up about a ½ an inch farther out, infringing on the swim platform to get clearance on the regulator. But I think for ease of switching over tanks, seeing whether or not it's still active on the tank it's selected and all that, I feel like it's a small price to pay to lose ½ an inch of clearance on the swim platform. And so yeah, I think I'm going to take it this way instead of the original plan. Alright, so that's kind of the framing done for this box for the propane. So sheet of plywood, piece of plywood, not sheet, piece of plywood on each end, ½ inch plywood, and then some little 1x1s or less, very minimal framing for it. And then I will sheet it with 1/4 inch mahogany underlay, fiberglass at all. But yeah, it's all hidden inside there. Everything's below the surface, so I'll be able to, and it'll vent out the bottom if it ever releases gases or just gets warm from the heat or anything like that. It will have full ventilation at the bottom. All right, there it is, all plywooded and routed and sitting in place. It fits like a glove, just a nice margin around, just enough to allow a layer of fiberglass and gel coat and everything. And so yeah, it's a propane tank enclosure ready for fiberglass. So I've got the propane tank cover fiberglassed, and now it's ready for, oh, it looks choppy. Anyway, Now it's ready for gel coat. I just brought it out here to give it a test fit to make sure that after adding the cloth and resin that it hadn't built up to the point where it wouldn't fit in, and it's actually just, yeah, it's perfect. We're good to go. So there's the box, the propane cover, after one coat of gel coat's been rolled on. So after I test fit it and made sure everything worked good, yeah, it's a little noisy in here. I have an exhaust fan running, blowing air out of my shop, so the window cracked open a bit to let a little fresh air in. It's December. It's actually above freezing out, but it's still pretty cool for fiberglass. So I'm in the shop, and the fan keeps the smell amazingly well from being through the rest of the house. It isn't even all that bad in the shop with the fresh air passing through, and the rest of the house you can't smell it. Even when we've had company come in, they don't go, "Ooh, you've been fiberglassing?" So I guess that's a good sign. So yeah, so I did a coat of what I've heard is called peanut butter. So it's resin with cabosil and milled fibers to make a bit of a peanut butter consistency filler, and I smeared that all over it with this yellow trowel to smooth off the humps and hollows a little more and get a little flatter surface. And then I've got one coat of gel coat on it, and I need minimum 2 more, and I'm thinking likely a 4th coat total to get it to where I can sand it and bring up a shine. So we'll see how that goes. And there is the finished propane tank cover. It's I was using it as a bit of a kind of test bed for how to try to get a nicer finish on the rest of the hull, because I don't know if this video shows it at all, but the rest of the hull is not terribly smooth yet. It's it needs work, and so this cover I put, I'm not sure how many coats of gel, probably 7 or 8 in the end, but I've learned a thing or two. I would put some on and I'd sand it. Next thing you know, I'm kind of getting through it and having gray areas because I'm going through it. So I'm realizing just get enough on there before you even start really trying to make it smooth, because otherwise you just end up having to put more coats on. And so I hope I can transfer it to doing a better job when it comes to the rest of the boat, but we shall see. However, for a propane tank hiding the tanks, it sure looks a lot prettier than a couple tanks hanging off the back of the boat, so I'm happy with that.